And it doesn't mean you have to scramble to find money to pay for the losses, but it's part of the risks of ownership, is that you could take a loss. It's relative. It's not a boss's loss. So, very briefly, if anybody's into sort of visionary values about this thing, Brian is about this. There's also a lot of theory about why cooperatives are good from sort of a theoretical perspective. And it seems to satisfy a lot of different people's theoretical goals. Thomas Jefferson felt that democracy was more possible in the United States because we could all own something. And we can't all own a factory, and we can't all own 40 acres these days, but we could all own a piece of a company, and that would make democracy more possible. Rousseau felt that there was no place to practice democracy. That you're supposed to be these democratic people, but actually took a lot of education to get there. And so workplaces could be an environment where you could practice democracy and then you could go out and be a better democratic citizen. From anarchist theory, it also is very satisfactory. Anarchists often feel that this sort of utopian desire for direct action, that we shouldn't try to seize control of the state so that we can start cooperatives. We should just start, just do direct action, be unity of means and ends. If we feel we want to be working collectively together, start right now. And also, I think it was Bakunin felt that there was this spontaneity amongst human nature, that if they worked collectively together, the best results would occur. And not everyone believes this, but if you are anarchist theorists, and we also feel like, well, yeah, if you got everybody in the factory together and give them free will, then the best solutions will be found. And probably sometimes that's true. And then even from the perspective of Marxist theory, workers are not alienated from the fruit of their labor. They reap the rewards at the end of the year, unless they're Ryan working with a cooperative that didn't distribute the surplus at the end of the year. And then also, the workplace can be a community asset. The United States doesn't have any state-owned worker cooperatives, but there are communities that own them. There's some in Philadelphia that are sort of joint ownerships between churches and neighborhood groups. So, for instance, if I'm the church, I might own the oven, and then the cooperative would rent one for me, and it would be a community asset that could be available in perpetuity. So, there are also disadvantages, and some of these are not specifically disadvantages for cooperatives. There's risks that businesses may encounter. A lot of cooperatives have failed because they didn't have enough money. A lot of cooperatives have failed because they had too much freedom. They didn't have a way that if somebody was slacking off, they could say, you're fired, or you need to have a performance review, or something like that. So if you decide to go with a cooperative model, you should really build in very strong systems of accountability so that if someone, like someone in our insurance has, that if you are slacking off, that someone is there to, come in your face and say, I'm not your boss, but I co-own this business with you, and that does not mean the standard. There should be some systematic way to do that. A lot of businesses in general, cooperatives are not have bad business plans. I forget about those statistics, how many startups fail in the first year? 1 or 2. So this is a lot of cooperatives also fail. I don't know that comparative statistics. There's the risk of demutualization, which means that if you become too successful, you'll say, well, I'm going to sell this to corporations or to someone in power, maybe. They'll make a bid for your company. There's also the risk of kind of quasi-participation. So if I start a cooperative and I say, everybody is entitled to give me their opinion, and then I sort of disregard everybody's opinion because secretly I'm the only legal owner or something like that. This is actually not going to encourage all the advantages that cooperatives have. There is a disadvantage in that there is no boss to blame when things go wrong. We at the bakery sometimes imagine a fairy godboss coming in who we can blame for all of the problems, but it's us. We make mistakes and we have to live with them and we correct them. And then lastly, there's the disadvantage of risk. So if you are a worker owner, you have money to lose. And some people may not want that. You may prefer to rent your labor to someone so that you don't have any risk, except being late. Yeah.
So I'm sure this also might be something you're going to cover as far as different models of cooperatives go, but that quasi-participation one, I know that you had given the example of the cooperative in Martha's Vineyard, maybe, that you had to be part and then you got to vote. I mean, I don't know, I guess that sparked for me the quasi-distinction, that maybe, I'm just wondering as far as, you're just referring to not actually having voting power by anybody except for one person, opposed to like some people having that voting power and some people not, because they're not actually part of the cooperative.
Right. You can work in different ways. The classic historical example is that in the 70s, a lot of cooperative academics, people interested in cooperatives, said if there's participation, you'll have higher productivity. So you should all become cooperatives. And a bunch of large-scale corporations said, well, maybe we can get that feeling of participation without actual participation. And so the workers will feel like, oh, I'm empowered, and then they'll work harder. And this goes all the way down to having a suggestion box on the wall. Tends to make people work harder. If there's a suggestion box there, they feel like they're more a part of the company. To having like quality circle meetings, and some of them were real. They really took the pains of the workers, but some of them were set up basically to trick workers into working harder because they felt like they had a greater participation. So, but again, I think it can go really different ways. It's if one person owns the company and they're calling it cooperative, probably is not. If it came down to that you couldn't get rid of that one person, if they were taking the company under, then it's not a cooperative. So, and I say this in some way because I want more leadership to join Brian. He's been an excellent leader so far in this process, but one person is not enough. And so I hope we'll join and expand the organization. Yeah.
One of the things that I think I was just imagining being a collective before is endless meetings and endless decision making about everything. And so that's one of my about it. It's just like I don't really want to sit in a sales meeting. It's not what I'm good at. So I wonder if that's also addressed with different types of cooperatives.
Yeah, so for perpetuity, the disadvantage that you mentioned is endless meetings and endless decision making and trying to be involved in a decision that you don't care about or you're not good at or something. I think that that can be resolved by delegating. And it may be hard for groups to want to delegate things or how to do things, but I think a lot of the cooperatives that came out of the 70s had like this ideal that everyone would know and do everything and you would like, rotate job roles every week, and it's not a good business strategy. So I'm going to talk about photovoltaic cooperative in a minute, and they have very, very specific job roles. Somebody is purchasing, somebody is sales, somebody is. But yeah, endless meetings, that just